How do you know which buyer's agent you should be choosing to ensure that you do not overpay for your investment property? I'm Jaryd Krause.
And I'm Sam Powell, and we're the co-hosts or the hosts of Property Pals Australia. And I've been told I'd say that word way too fast. So Property Pals Australia. And in this episode, what we are discussing is, stress testing the buyer's agent you're about to work with, because the market is shifting dramatically at the moment where, people are overpaying for property, and some people aren't even aware just because of the lack of information that they're getting from their buyer's agent. So I wanted to really sort of break down a few key questions to ask, but also give you the reasons and examples as to why.
Yeah, like examples like around hotspots, relationships with sellers, how many buyer's agents are looking at buying properties off market in the competitive pool together, the supply and demand for properties being purchased by buyer's agents, even like how buyer's agents can, make markets and build markets, and then also coming out of those areas, the opposite effect as well. There's so much value in this podcast episode. Anything else to add, Sam? Did we miss anything?
There's some key questions at the end. So listen all the way through, and I say there's the reason as to the rationale as to why these questions are so important are fed through the whole episode. So I really hope you get a lot out of it. But as always, this is not the only way we can help you for free. Check out our mini course on how to maximize your borrowing capacity. So head over to propertypals.au/resources. And it's really going to help you, obviously, get that better asset with that larger borrowing capacity. And see you on the inside.
Welcome to Property Pals, the podcast where we share everything around how to build a property portfolio, from researching areas, financing, structuring, buying, selling, and reinvesting to live a life of financial independence. As a disclaimer, any information shared by myself, Jaryd, Sam, and the Property Pals team is strictly general and should not be taken as constituting professional advice. You should consider seeking independent legal, financial, and taxation advice from a qualified professional. Hello, Samuel.
Jaryd, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I got a bit of a bee in my bonnet.
I was going to say, it seems like you've got a bone to pick with the industry today. I'm just ready to let you and hear you just lash out.
Not lash, but I guess it's always the insider thing. Like everyone they're hearing all the. I guess it's all positive, and let's face it. What a lot of marketing material and podcasts and everything is it's a funnel to get people into utilizing certain buyer's agency services to do the job better than what they can. And as I always say, there's in every industry there's good, there's bad, and there's rubbish. I've shifted the last word to say rubbish instead of something else because I'm getting a bit more. I've got my kids around me that are like, can't say that. I'm like, yes, I agree.
I heard my nephew went to dinner at my brother's house, and he's about 2.5, and he just got home with his mum, and he'd ran around. He was just super excited to play, and he just said the F word and stopped like in the hall, and then looked at his dad, and then like kept playing, and my brother was like, "You can't say that," and he's just, It's funny. I mean, I don't see them grow up like as you do each and every day, but it's pretty
funny.
cool.
It's a reflection on yourself, right? Like they learn it from somewhere, and it's generally from the household. So
actually, I'm gonna dob my mum in here.
Oh.
So my mum had picked him up from daycare, and he was sitting in the back, and she was at the lights, and she missed like 2 sets of lights because of like daycare school traffic, right? And like the third one or the second one she just like didn't make it, and she was like right there, and she's like, fuck. And then and then he picked it up. I don't know, it could have been my brother, it could have been my mum, but yeah,
Can't
Watch your
point
words.
fingers. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get into it. People are probably
Yeah,
getting annoyed, but my son, I got to teach him how to roll his R's or say his R's because he calls truck the F word, and it's anyway. Got to stop, but sometimes I'm like, I swear he is like, he knows what he's doing. He just does it because he's like
it's fun.
pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, testing, toddler testing.
Yeah, the joys. But no, B in my bonnet, my friends. Well, yeah, it's a bit of B, but it's just education. Like that's what I'm here for, is to sort of pass on, so the inside of, you know, like I do want people to either do it themselves or find the right people and then the best people in the industry to assist them.
Yeah, and I want to ask you questions around like what are some of the things we should be asking to find the best buyers agents based on what experience or inexperience they have. So let's just get this off your chest first. What are you noticing
mate.
with these bunch of these rookie buyers agents?
Yeah,
many. I mean, how can there not be so many when there's people just dishing out courses for 5, 10, I don't know how much, thousands of dollars to learn how to become a buyer's agent, and you can get the qualification and then you have zero experience, but you can buy properties for people, like where the incentive is there for people to just go away and do it, but there's no experience. It can create a tricky environment for beginners to navigate when searching for a good buyer's agent.
Yeah, and I actually had a past client gave me a call last week actually, and was just getting into the space. And my advice is always you work under people who have the experience and learn. You'll learn faster. Obviously, that income kicker that everyone sells you on is like do the course and you could make $15,000 in a month. Yeah, and you can. But everyone makes it sound easier than what it is. But the issue that I'm finding is that you're getting this barista as I sip on my homemade organic flat white. Is a barista to buyer's agent or school teacher to buyer's agent, anything. Like you can go and do your real estate license essentially, and then you become a buyer's agent. And that course can take full-time working, and I think it took me like 6 months or something just to do that on the side whilst raising kids. So if you didn't have all those other obligations, you could probably smash it out in like a month or two. So low barrier to entry, and that's definitely shifting in the industry because this is a common issue that a lot of people are sort of screaming at the hilltops with, is that people are playing with people's money, and due to like the lack of industry experience, whether it is in negotiating property deals, understanding property market, like what is contributing to what a property is worth. Like my background's in valuation. That's not the most common background. Usually it's as a sales agent. They're making that switch, but still they've got that deep domain experience around what properties are worth, and then how to navigate that negotiation. And that's what I guess Hello House, we had Scott on the other week. That's what we've built, is the two key core, I guess, skill sets is analysis and negotiation. But what I'm finding and what I've been struggling with for our clients is that we are looking into similar markets like the data, and you can look at certain types of property reports, and they're pointing us into these growth locations, these hotspots, and these hotspots are becoming really inflated a lot quicker than what they used to. So the buying window generally used to sit around that 3 to 6 month time frame where I could get in. It'd be you're buying either good quality assets at a fair value. If we can, obviously, we can buy them at a really great value. But what I'm finding now is that these areas, after doing it for a number of years, the time frame is getting shorter and shorter, and what we're seeing is just people overpaying and really making it challenging for not even the sales agents, where they're just wasting everyone's time, and they're also like wasting clients' money. So there's my B.
Yeah. And so I want to get to the sales agent. Like, why would it be wasting time for the sales agent? But I mean, when it comes to finding that market, like, I guess as somebody becomes a buyer's agent, they're going to try to learn to interpret data with like zero skills. So they could be fudging it. But until they start to get good at it, then they start to find the real valuable areas. And then you've got a few really highly sophisticated buyer's agents in those areas for clients. And then that can increase the offers because the competition, right? The buy pool is become bigger, and it starts to become a seller's market in those areas versus a buyer's market when hopefully you find it first, right? And so, yeah, it seems like the most sophisticated buyers and buyers agents are the ones that aren't going to get emotional and they pull out of those sorts of areas. So what happens when you notice those prices go up? Like, I guess rookies will just, like you said, they'll just pay more just to get a client off their books, right? Like, I mean, they have no recourse, I guess, a buyer's agent, where they just like, I just need to get my money and I can just buy them this property and they're off the books. It's not a good long-term approach, because if you buy it for them for cheaper, you can possibly get, like what you said, is you got a repeat customer calling you up saying, hey, I want to buy again. That's probably the best way to do business. Not probably, it is. But yeah, I mean, there's so many that are starting out. I know this when I started out, like, I'm no angel. Like, I just needed money. Like, when I first started in business, and I would take any client and do anything to just get the money. So they're the ones you got to be careful of, right?
100%. Yeah. So that's, I guess, one of those key questions is what to look for. Maybe we'll summarize at the end, like the key things to look for. I'm learning this podcast world or this YouTube world. We've got to dangle these carrots for you people, and like, but the reason
loops.
The reason being is it's not to obviously keep you listening and watching. It's just that you need to understand all the rationale as to why, to then go and understand why those questions are so important. But hey, if you want to, just fast forward, don't have control over that. But yeah, I guess the situation with clients' money and there's like hotspots and data analysis and all that. There's like, people are sort of just, it's like the herd mentality, right? As an example, Perth at the moment is still on everyone's lips, and it's just being ahead of the curve. And those more sophisticated buyers agents that you mentioned, like, we're looking at data, and we're looking ahead of the curve, which we're trying to find the next location, just so you're not going into such a heated market, because ideally in a heated market, like you'll get that. This is the balance, right? And we're getting Matt from HSAG Analytics on the podcast, I think, next week, and this is really in his alley, and why he's developed that analytic platform, and I'm a really big fan of it, actually. So basically what it is hotspots, and there's other like places that are going to become hotspots. And this is what got me into this whole space, is going, well, you and I are big on opportunity cost. So I am that analytical brain, and I do suffer from analysis paralysis. And that's what sort of kept me back so much, because I was like, well, I know I have $500,000 to buy something, but where, and trying to get that confidence, because everyone's going to try and like sell you something and have some really great story behind it, because obviously there's a reason for it at the back end. They're getting paid something to get you into that property type, that location. And the more that you read and research and understand the industry, and even, I guess, the psychology of money and business, it gives you always those doubts. So that's why I suffered analysis paralysis. But then going into the space and learning more about data and the importance of it, there's a lot of value there. And you can buy into hotspots like places like Townsville at the moment, booming. But you're going up against 20 other buyers, and you're putting an offer in on that thing the day it gets released. Like, even minutes after something goes live, these agents are getting phone calls from 4 or so buyers agents, and they're just throwing an offer then and there, because they just want to secure it. And good on them, because they're doing like acting with speed and everything like that. But I just think people underestimate, these sales agents. Like they're in it day in, day out. They've seen this heat build up from, 60 days on market to now 15 over the last 18 months. And you're not just one, like they're relationship building. They've got a database of buyers agents that they've built up, and they're just shopping these things around. And
it's a good point.
Yeah, it's
so then it becomes a game of like, how do you build the best? How do you become the number one friend of this buyer's agent? And not with like chocolates and flowers and stuff like that, but like, how do you make their job that much easier? Like, how do you get as close as you can to the price for the property that's not too high for your client, but is what their client is willing to accept, and make it super easy for them to go, yep, this is a no-brainer. Let's just sell this at this price to their client. And you win, they win, and the client wins. And you move with speed. You don't have, ridiculous terms or, that can help on the, for your client on the client side if you're a buyer's agent. But yeah, then it really becomes like, if you've got 15 buyer's agents just hounding one sales agent, how do you set yourself from the pack, right?
Yeah, really good question. Good question. Well, I think this is where the skill set of like price analysis valuation is so strong, because you need to go in with conviction to know what something's worth in those heated markets. You're really looking at going your best and final, and knowing where that value sits and being happy to walk away. The issue is, I'm going against some of these people because we are targeting hotspots, because there's different methodologies. If you're really looking at short-term growth, you can go into a really heated market. You're going to be guaranteed essentially that 12-month growth, which can help you scale a portfolio quicker. But you are paying a price premium to enter into a hotspot. So conversations I'm having with people is kind of like, well, if you can get ahead of that curve, you might be sort of sitting on, with that property and it does nothing for 12 months. But, if you go into the hotspot, you're kind of paying that premium, and that might be even, 6 months, 12 months of growth just to get into that heated market. So with the other spots that are, are shifting into more of a hotspot over that, 1 to 2 year period, they're at it's like the bell curve. If you're watching this on YouTube, bell curve. You're getting in, and then that you're going to get the growth on the way up and on the way down of that bell curve, from going from 4% growth, 6%, 8%, 12%, and then dropping that down 12, 10, 8, 9, whatever. Whereas the hotspots, it's already at that 12% in a year, and then the next year it might be 12%, but then it'll start dropping back. But the medium to longer term growth won't be as strong as the other area. So it's like, well, what's your real strategy here? It's to buy and hold it for a 5 to 10 year period. Which is best? Like, in my opinion, I'd rather be going into a market before everyone else floods it, getting a really good asset at a good purchase price, than paying that premium. And the reason why I'm having those conversations now is because it is challenging. Like, I talked to a number of different real estate agents in Rockhampton, and they're basically telling me, like, you've got to be paying a price, and you've got to be willing to see the valuation come in under the purchase price. Like, literally saying that to me before we're even putting offers on things. And then there's other areas, and this is the indication for me where it's like having these conversations, and even like when we're buying in certain these hotspots and valuations aren't coming back on contract price. So you can push your client to sack up that extra bit of money, or you walk away. And for us, it's like, we'll look at a different valuation firm, because obviously that's my background. We'll look at, get 2 or 3 different opinions before walking away, because we know that valuers have to work in the past. Then they are looking at sales from 3 to 6 months old, and they don't have the current heat in the market. But if it's not stacking up on contract price, then your client's putting more money in. And for me, that's just too high of a risk, and there's better options there. So that's that indication for me. And to get out of that market and look for better opportunities, because like there's the opportunity cost involved.
I mean, it's like an extra whatever, you 50 grand on a property, and then you've got that extra 50 grand worth of stamp duty you got to pay, and like insurance increases. It seems like these so the agents know, like they're telling you, there's like, we know when it's a hot spot, we know when it's a hot area, because the valuation might come in at 500, but if you're not making an offer of 550, you're not at market, what the market calls value, right? You're not at market value, because the market of all these 10 other buyers agents are like, I just need to purchase this for my client, because I got so many other clients I need to serve. Or they just like, I just need to purchase for my client because I need to get paid, because I need to make some money. I've just started this business. And they buy it for 550, and you miss out. But you're not, this is the thing, people might think you are missing out, but you're just gaining 50 grand in opportunity cost and value somewhere else.
Yeah, well, it's a massive grey area, right? Like, and this is where I guess why I wanted to discuss this with you is like market value. It's willing buyer, willing seller, local agent, arm's length transaction. So if you've got an arm's length transaction going through, then you've got backup offers at 550, 565, and you're getting pushed to 570 to secure this thing. And the valuation comes back at 540, and it's worth probably like 540 to 550 every day of the week because of comparable sales evidence and all the sort of the analysis you've done to that point. And then the valuation comes back at that 550. You can sit there and go, well, there's 3 backup contracts above that, and that's what pushed me to that. And a decent buyer's agent knows the heat in the market. They know that they're paying a slight premium to get in because they know there's good growth prospects coming forward in the short term. But you can still buy into markets with good growth prospects in the short and medium and long term as well, without it not stacking up on a valuation. And like there's disclaimers now in valuation reports saying, this is a inflated market because of the level of buyer's agents that are in the market. These are these indicators for me where like our team, we're just sitting going, well, that's a clear indication we need to get out of there. Like just because we have the relationships in that market because we've been buying in there for 12 months doesn't mean that you can keep buying in it. You just got to keep being the best at your craft. And that's where it's like, well, trying to get more analytical with locations and data and is really the key, but it takes time, and that's always the balance. Like a small one-man band to be across, location research, analysis, negotiation, marketing the business. Like there's so much to do
for relationship, keeping good relationships with the agents.
Yeah, and then that's the small business, and then you've got the big businesses that are buying. And this is the other issue is like there is somewhat of a sweet spot, but like the big businesses, they've got 50 clients they're buying, every single month, and they've got a backlog because their marketing is so great, and they've got people complaining like, well, when's our turn? When are we going to get in the market? So it's like it's up these opposing forces because there's not many like hotspot locations to buy in at any one time around Australia. So that's where like you see these off markets coming through, and people, I'm very wary of like off market properties because most of the ones that I've seen are just rubbish, and they're selling to people and buyers agents. They look like they're doing a really good job because
they're getting it off market, and it's touted as like a great deal because it's off market, but it could sell for more off market than on market.
Yep. Yeah, especially when you like in places that I've been buying in, I know that they've just got, we'll just chuck you on our buyer's agents database, and they've just got 15 to probably 30 buyer's agents where they just send you through an off market property, and then you're competing against, and they'd rather like the ease of transaction. A buyer's agent's better because they know that they've got that qualified buyer in their pocket, and they both want the same thing. They want the transaction. So it's definitely a challenging market, and this is, I guess, thinking a bit forward future is back in like my financial planning days. What, like before all the Royal Commission came through in like 2011 or whatever it was, 2012, what was actually happening is you're getting into this like stage of the market where people have access, they're wanting to invest, and that's where a lot of financial planners they partner up with builders. And I used to work for one of these companies. I was the junior sort of like apprentice at that stage, so I didn't know what they were flogging at the time, but we do the financial plans up, and it was basically like let's get your cash flow under wraps. Oh, you've got excess of $400 a week to invest. Okay, well, let's invest in this house and land package. And that was these house and land packages where people were buying in places like Gladstone in 2006 and all that. And they had like guaranteed rental agreements for 10 years and all the depreciation, all the benefits. But the building, like the financial planning mob, were partners with the building mob, and they're getting the $30,000-$40,000 kicker for commissions on the back end, and taking a statement of advice financial planning fee. It was, I didn't know at the time, but now I saw it. Like it was creating like inflated markets, right? And then people obviously going to people and paying for advice and just wanting good quality advice, but they were just one of many, and it's the path of least resistance for the business. The business is more profitable. And this is what I'm seeing in the buyer's agent space at the moment, but it's no longer the new house and land packages. It's everyone wants to buy established because they understand that the fundamentals is to buy in established locations, and you get that good growth. The market's more educated, but they're going to buyer's agents who have really savvy marketing campaigns that are, and they have great results, and they've had great results based on their history. There's also buyer's agents that are market makers, because if you're buying 50 properties, you're sucking supply out of one market, like
absolutely
in a month, and like you're creating that false prophecy. So my concern is,
and then
the reason,
when it leaves, like, what's your concern?
The concern is like, it can create an inflated market. If all investors are buying into that location, sure, your vacancy rates are sub 2% at the moment, but what's it going to be in 3 months' time? And this is what my issue with Perth is, and the reason why I haven't been buying in there for like the whole of this year for investors is just that it's, I guess I got that concern, market shift, and you got to be on head of your game is kind of my.
Perth was like more than 2 years ago now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you bought it back in there. When did you buy down in
2.5 years ago?
Yeah.
And I was just speaking to my old marketing mentor that I hired back in 2017, 2018. He's here in Bali, and he used the same buyer's agency firm as me, and bought in Perth as well, like same year. I think it was later in the year. It might have been the year after, actually. But I mean, they've been in that spot for a long time.
Yeah, and people are still buying in there, like, and that's the like, this is the, like, I'm not whinging about it. It's amazing for investors. Like, you're getting $100,000 in growth sometimes in a 12-month period. Like, it's crazy.
Everybody go buy in Perth right now. Right.
Just don't come to me and want to buy in Perth.
I'll tell you to buy in Perth. Don't buy. Like, it's obviously depends on depends on so many things.
Yeah, well, the unit market in Perth at the moment is doing pretty well, but that's like, this is all cyclical stuff, and after doing it for a while, you see the patterns. Like, houses, the scarcity, people go there, and then they shift to units, or like duplexes, townhouses, units. They get that second kicker because they're the disparity between, well, I can't afford a $700,000 house now, but this unit's only $300,000, and that's a 3-bed, 1-bath. That seems really good value, and it's good rental yield. And then you're like, well, yep, that's that shift. So you're seeing the marketing shift in a lot of these buyer's agents firms where there is opportunity in units at the moment because they've lagged so much.
What are some of the questions people looking to work with the buyer's agent should be asking?
I think we talked about this with Steve, but I guess
we did. But I mean, like, it's,
I definitely want to know their background in how long they've been doing it, what results they've got, where they're buying. But probably the biggest question is understanding why they're buying in those locations. Like, before you get behind the paywall, they probably won't tell you their locations because it is quite secretive. But in that sense, you can still ask, like, what state, roughly. Like, I'd tell you what state I'm buying in at the moment, like, in regions. But, well, how do you get to your? This is a good question. How do you get to your, I guess, suburb level analysis to buy into? Because if they're just buying into a local government area, the market's changed. You don't just look at a local government area anymore. You're looking at the suburb fundamentals of supply and demand, and then you're layering that over with the local government area. Because, it's the property for me is now no longer a buy and hold, like what most people are thinking. If you want to amplify your returns and do really well in this game, like, there's data out there now where you can buy in, and like you can buy into those hotspot locations. You can get that, 4 or 5 year growth, like really strong growth. And if you're sitting there going, well, damn, it's doubled in value in 5 to 6 years. What's this market doing? And selling out of that market and then going into a cooler market to then go and get that growth again. So that would be a key question: how to get to your suburb level, I guess.
Absolutely, because they don't have to share the data, but they can share their process on how they get there, which you, as a rookie, you're not going to know. But I think another really good question is asking how many clients are you serving? And just trying to work out what your lead time is, because then you sort of know like how long it could take you to get in the market, which is important to know because of opportunity cost. And then like where you sit in the pipeline as well. And how, like, are you just a small number, or are you like one of maybe 4 people they have on the books, right? Or one of 50?
Yeah. Well, like Hello House, we've got a different model to the full service buyers agents, in that we take people along the journey with us. Like, we know our skill sets are analysis, negotiation, but we think it's pretty fundamentally important to understand why you're buying into these markets. So definitely share with you all that data and the rationale as to why. But if you are very time poor and you want people just to serve you up a platter of a property to purchase, then the full service buyers agents are definitely that route to go. Just be very careful is kind of what I'm suggesting, because the reason why we developed, the Investor Assist platform is because the more educated and more knowledgeable are, the better quality property you're going to secure for yourself. And property is only a once-off. Like, you can't go and buy, like an ETF where you can buy portions of all these different properties
and sell in and out really easy and stuff like that.
Yeah, so there's definitely value in full service buyers agencies models, and maybe we'll go back to that model. But we just sort of decided to pick a lane essentially as to what were the key, I guess, skill sets that people lack and will always lack if they're only doing this once every now and then again. But like, I've been looking at properties for 15 years, like as a valuer and now a buyer, and Scott's been negotiating, as you know, the last podcast we did with him, like he's got 4,000 or so property transactions under his belt. Like, there's that. But I still think that if you've got the time and the passion for it, there's a lot to be learnt. But having the key questions to ask is pretty important.
Absolutely. Anything else to add? I think we've done pretty good.
I guess other questions would be like understanding their due diligence checklists. People would probably share that with you. Would be a good question. And even past results for like, what were you buying a year ago and how has that performed?
Yeah, it's a good one.
And the rationale for locations is key, and then an experience, like, that's a key question, is like, how long have you been doing this for, and
how many properties have you purchased?
Yeah, and if you purchase like, I purchased 10, and like, if you've been doing this for a year, buying 10 properties, like one a month is, it's still you're doing pretty well for a one-man band. I think that's a good start. But still, that, like, 10 negotiations, 10 properties purchased. It's not enough for to be or paying someone a full price fee of $15,000 to $25,000. For me, it's just like, well, you might like the person and know them, but there's so much more to it, and unfortunately, it just takes time to build that skill set.
Yep. Go with people with the experience. That's what you should be paying for, not just the service. Should be paying for the experience.
Yeah, but no, that's probably the good little yarn. Hope people got something out of it. And if you have any questions, obviously, that's where we direct you to. Chuck them in the comments, or just probably the best way to be fair is to email us, hello@propertypals.au. Check that regularly, and obviously there's a lot of comments and things that come through, but Jaryd and I are setting up a lifestyle here, and we don't want to be filtering through a whole bunch of just random comments, but we do like to look and get feedback through the comments as much as possible. But I guess the best course of response would be hello@propertypals.au.
Absolutely. Looking forward to some listener questions from you guys, and speak to you soon.